Okay, so picture this a desert road.
Yeah.
Not exactly where you'd expect, a major spiritual breakthrough.
Right, right.
But that's where we're headed in this deep dive.
Okay.
We're going to be looking at this encounter between Philip and the Ethiopian eunuch.
Yeah, it's funny how these stories that almost seem like footnotes
Right.
end up being these incredible, like, glimpses into God's character.
Totally.
And his, like, divine orchestration, you know what I mean?
And this eunuch, I mean, he's not just some random dude.
Yeah.
This is a man of power,
Oh, yeah.
influence,
Mm-hmm.
treasurer for the Queen of Ethiopia.
Wow.
Talk about wealth and authority.
Well, and it's so interesting because Pastor Gibbons, when he was unpacking this, he was talking about this paradox of power. And it's this idea that often the people who have the most worldly success often feel the most spiritually empty.
Yeah.
It's almost like the higher they climb,
Right.
the more aware they become of what's missing.
It's true.
Yeah.
It makes you think like all the riches in the world couldn't fill that void in his life.
Exactly.
Which I think makes it so relatable.
Oh, yeah.
Because haven't we all felt that at some point?
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
And here's the thing. This eunuch, he was actually returning from Jerusalem.
Okay.
He'd gone there to worship.
Wow.
Talk about a man genuinely seeking something more.
He was literally like on a journey,
Right.
both geographically and spiritually, right?
Yeah.
But here's where it gets really interesting, right? Because Pastor Gibbons points out that this eunuch's encounter with God, it wasn't in this grand temple or anything.
Right.
It was in the quiet kind of solitude of the desert through the words of the prophet Isaiah.
And not just any part of Isaiah.
Right.
He was reading Isaiah 53.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
Packed with these prophecies about the Messiah.
Exactly.
And what I love is that Pastor Gibbons, he doesn't brush this off as just some random coincidence.
Right.
He sees God's hand in this
Yeah.
orchestrating this like divine appointment.
Sure.
Think about it. This eunuch drawn to Jerusalem finds himself on this deserted road.
Right?
He's engrossed in a scroll of Isaiah specifically, this passage about a suffering servant.
Yeah.
It's like he was being prepared step by step
Wow.
for this life-changing encounter.
It's like that saying, you can make your plans, but God determines your steps, or something like that.
That's it, yeah.
And sometimes those steps lead us in a completely different direction
Totally different.
than we ever imagined.
For sure.
And that's what happens with Philip.
Oh, yeah.
He's in the thick of this powerful revival in Samaria, and then bam, redirected by God
Wow.
to this, what seems like random desert road.
Talk about an unexpected detour.
Right?
Like, can you imagine you're pouring your heart and soul into something,
Yeah.
you're seeing like the spirit move,
Mm-hmm.
and then God's like, all right, now I need you to go to this random road
Yeah.
in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
It's a good reminder that God,
Yeah.
he doesn't always,
He works on his own time.
he does his own thing.
That's right.
Yeah. And on his own timetable, right? Doesn't always fit neatly into our little plans.
No.
He does not.
No, he does not.
It really makes you think twice about those times you feel like maybe you're being pulled in a direction you didn't plan on.
Right.
Like, what if, just like Philip, we chose obedience
Totally.
and we embraced those detours,
Yeah.
trusting that God might be leading us to something incredible, right?
Absolutely. And that's the thing about faith, right?
Yeah.
It takes a willingness to kind of surrender our own understanding and just trust in his plan, even if it doesn't.
Even when it doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like even when it's inconvenient or doesn't fit.
Right.
But yeah, so back to the eunuch, right?
Yeah.
He's on the desert road. He's engrossed in Isaiah 53.
Yeah.
And Pastor Gibbons, he points out this moment where the eunuch asks Philip, tell me, please, who is the prophet talking about himself or someone else?
Wow. And this is a man of power, influence, right?
I know.
Like you would think this guy has it all figured out.
Yeah.
And yet he humbles himself
my
to
God.
say, I don't have all the answers.
It's such a good reminder.
Yeah.
It's that genuine spiritual seeking.
Yeah.
It requires that humility to say, you know what? I don't have it all figured out.
That's right.
I'm open to guidance.
Right.
And I think it's in those moments of genuine seeking that we really position ourselves for transformation.
Totally. Yeah. Like that's when the magic happens, right?
Exactly.
And that's where Philip steps in, right?
That's right.
But what I love is Pastor Gibbons points out, Philip doesn't make a big deal out of it.
Right.
He doesn't launch into this like theological lecture.
He meets him right where he's
That
at.
keeps him right where he is.
With the text.
Exactly.
That's already captivated his heart.
Yeah. And I think that speaks volumes about how we, as believers, should share our faith. It's not about bombarding people with information.
Or winning arguments.
Right.
Yeah.
It's about meeting people where they are, listening to their questions, and gently guiding them towards truth.
Like Philip did, yeah.
It reminds me of that saying, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Well, that's good.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think Philip genuinely cared about this eunuch's journey, spiritual journey, and that made all the difference.
Absolutely. And as Philip's explaining this, as he's revealing Christ, this eunuch has this like incredible aha moment.
Like, he gets it.
He gets it.
The light bulb goes off.
Yeah, he sees it. He sees it.
And all the pieces fall into place.
All the puzzle pieces come together.
And he realizes that Isaiah 53, this passage about the suffering servant, was pointing to Jesus all along.
All along, yes.
I love that.
It's awesome.
So good. So good.
It's like this powerful picture of the Holy Spirit just illuminating the scriptures, right?
Totally.
Bringing that clarity and understanding.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop there.
Okay.
They're on this desert road. They come across some water.
Okay.
And Pastor Gibbons, he says, put yourself in the eunuch's shoes for a second. Right.
You've just had this life-altering revelation.
Yeah.
You're filled with this, like, incredible sense of joy and gratitude.
Right.
You see the water.
Okay.
What's your...
I mean, if it were me, I'd still be trying to wrap my head around everything.
Yeah, well, I know.
Like, whoa, hold on a second.
Right.
But he doesn't even hesitate.
He doesn't even hesitate.
That's amazing.
In a moment of complete spontaneity.
Wow. He's like, look, there's water right there. What's stopping me from getting baptized?
I love that. That's also...
such a powerful, powerful declaration.
It's like he just can't wait to publicly identify with Christ, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, like no overthinking it.
Right.
Just pure action.
Just pure response.
And it's beautiful, you know?
Yeah.
It's like this testament to how when you genuinely encounter the gospel,
there's this transformation that happens.
Yes.
And it's not about waiting for the perfect time.
Or having all your theological ducks in a row.
Exactly. Or, oh, but I need to do this first.
Yeah. It's a heart thing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting, too, because we're talking about this desert road.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Like, this isn't some grand cathedral, right?
You stained glass windows.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Right.
And I think it just drives home that point that faith, it's not confined to location.
No.
It's not about these elaborate rituals.
It was an everyday, everywhere kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a personal, intimate encounter with God. That can happen anywhere.
Absolutely. Anytime, anywhere.
And then, to add to that,
right
after Philip baptizes the eunuch, he's out.
Gone.
Like, disappears.
Right.
Gone.
It's just like that.
Supernaturally whisked away.
Talk about a plot twist.
It is, right?
Yeah.
And I like how Pastor Gibbons even points this out. He's like, imagine that contrast.
Yeah, can you imagine?
The spiritual high.
You're on cloud 9.
Yes. And then, bam.
And then you're like, wait a minute.
It's like, where'd everybody go?
Hello? Where's Philip?
Exactly.
Yeah, you're just there by yourself.
You'd think he'd be a little confused.
A little bit, yeah.
But he's not.
He's not, though, is he?
He's not, and that's what's amazing.
He just keeps going.
He just keeps going.
Yeah, full of joy.
And rejoicing.
Rejoicing. Yeah, it's amazing. It's like...
I mean, if it were me, I don't know.
I'd be a little concerned.
I'd be a little concerned, like, wait a second, I need a little more instruction here.
Right. A couple more chapters, maybe?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But I think that speaks volumes about the transformation that happened in his heart.
It's not dependent on Philip's physical presence anymore, you know?
Yeah.
He encountered something so much bigger.
It reminds you, at the end of the day, our faith journey.
Yeah.
It's not about human leaders.
It's bigger than that, yeah.
It's not about these extraordinary experiences.
It's about that personal relationship, right?
It's about our relationship with God.
Yeah, and that's available to everyone.
To everyone, that's right.
Like, you know, we might feel lost sometimes, like the eunuch, you know?
Yeah.
We might wonder if God sees us, if he hears our questions.
If he's even listening.
Yeah. But this story, it's like this beautiful reminder that God's always working.
Always working.
Orchestrating these divine appointments.
Even in the desert.
Even in the desert.
Right, when you least expect it.
When you least expect it.
What a story. What a deep dive this has been.
It really is.
You know, from divine providence to humility, the power of faith.
There's so much good stuff in there.
It really makes you stop and think, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here are the desert places in our own lives.
Yeah.
Who are those people around us who are searching?
Who are maybe the unlikely people, right?
Yes, exactly. And are we willing to be that at Gallup?
That's the question.
That's the question.
That's the challenge.
I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about today.
A lot to chew on.
It's been great exploring this with you.
Yeah, absolutely. You too.
And for everyone listening, keep seeking those desert encounters.
Yeah, stay open to those detours.
You never know where they might lead you.
That's right.